Herkimer Mayor Tony Brindisi, another fire and more damage to Main Street, which is not needed.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah. So what do we know here today?
Well, you know, we had 27 people displaced.
Yeah.
And we had a tremendous outpouring from, first of all, the Red Cross. I stayed until 1 in the morning to make sure that you know, everybody had a place to go. And
they set up in what, the village court?
Yeah, we opened up the courtroom, and there were 4 or 5 people from the Red Cross. Did a tremendous job of making sure that these people's needs were met.
And they come right out. So the fire's happening, they're out immediately.
They came out. You know, they had to muster their people. It took them maybe an hour to get there.
Right, but they were
an
there.
Hour and a half, but they got there. And what I'll tell you what, I have a deep appreciation for the Red Cross and what they do. They took their information and took care of their medical needs, their immediate needs. If they had special medical needs, they made sure those were met. And got them lodging and you know, even for their pets and for every.
That was a big part of this, pets and trying to get the pets out. I also saw it in the OD, and it was probably in the Telegram as well. The woman by the name of Digert that had been in a fire in Mohawk, burned out of that house, moved to Herkimer, and now a year later has been displaced again. It's terrible.
Yeah. And I mean, she was traumatized, obviously, and again, you know, they even set up special counseling for people that were, you know, traumatized by this. And the one kid came to mind. He was a high school student, still in his baseball uniform. He'd gotten back from playing baseball, and that's all he had on his back, you know. And you know, how do you not have compassion, you know?
So, what do we know on the cause? Anything as of yet?
It appears to have been electrical in nature.
Okay.
I don't know much more than that. I tended to focus on the people more than anything else. But the fire departments that were involved were, of course, our fire department, East Herkimer, Ilion, and Little Falls. They did a tremendous job. They had it under control within 2 hours.
I read, I think it's in today's paper about firefighters that have been injured. One of the things they talked about was clutter. Houses, you don't think about it. Your house is you know, we all have a lot of stuff. And then when something like this happens, it becomes very difficult for firefighters. I believe a few were injured. One from Ilion was
there were 3 firefighters.
3 firefighters injured.
One slipped. One from the Herkimer slipped and sprained his ankle. There were 2 that suffered head injuries from falling debris. You know, you just don't think about stuff like that.
Now, the building, not a total loss. Is that true? Because it looks like
it was confined to 2 apartments.
Okay.
And I don't believe, it doesn't appear to be a total loss, but that's difficult to say because there's residual damage. There's water damage and smoke damage. So, you know, at this point, I don't know. I think that's an answer that only an insurance company can make. So I don't know dollar-wise what the...
Well, you don't. I mean, you lost the GH building.
Yes, we did.
The building next to Empire Diner.
Oh, that was the Tracy Adams building. I call it Tracy Adams building.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I mean, because these old buildings can't be
you can't replace them.
You
could if you look at those buildings, Bill. You couldn't build a building like that today. I mean, these things were architectural marvels. You couldn't build these buildings today. You couldn't afford to build them. So, you know, to try to preserve these buildings,
that's important.
You know, it's important. I mean, they're historical. Not that they're historical monuments, but they're buildings that were built one brick at a time. And these were masters that built these buildings. So.
All right. So I am hearing though that at some point soon it looks like families will be allowed to go back in to get some of their belongings, especially with those that didn't have as much damage.
Yeah, I think within probably by today they'll be allowed to go in, you know, and get what they can out of them, and you know, and then I imagine they'll have to find suitable housing. But until then, the Red Cross has provided for them and will continue to do so until they You know,
Right.
and they've spent money, and it's important. And one thing that I think that I hope that the media will impress upon people is that the Red Cross, this is all donated money. I mean, they spent.
Right.
I'll bet you they spent $5,000 or $6,000 just that night alone.
Right, you get 27 people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money. I
Yeah.
mean, so if anybody has a couple extra bucks, you know.
And when you give to the Red Cross, it is important if you wanted to go to the Herkimer fire victims, or if you wanted to, you can designate where the money ends.
You can, and I asked the lady that was there that night, and she said that most of the funds usually stay local.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you got a couple extra bucks, throw it at it.
All right. And I'm assuming also firefighters, the bravery of going in and putting their lives in danger, and there is a story. I think there was one of the people in the building was disoriented with the smoke, and you don't think about it unless you've ever been in a situation where they were able to get inside and get him out. Otherwise,
right. Yeah, there was a rescue. Our police got there first. Our policemen went in and were able to get people out, and then of course our firemen went in and got a disoriented gentleman out. And you can't look at these people that go into a box full of fire.
Yeah,
I said this a million times. Anybody knows me said, I don't know what possesses a person.
Right.
Our
we're trained to run away.
Inclination is to run away.
Yeah. These
people, fire, police, they run towards these things, and I don't know what gives you the intestinal fortitude. I mean, I was a cop for 23 years.
Right.
And I watch these firemen. I don't know what gives them that thing,
to do
that says go into that hot
we're glad
wooden box and
certainly glad they have it.
Run around in there for a while.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I never will. And I thank God for the people that do. I really do. So.
All right. Mayor Tony Brindisi, thank you so much for
coming
up and taking the time here this morning. We wish the best to everybody over there and the village.